So the individual and the moving range chart. So this is the last topic here for chapter. So this one we are using. So till now, let me just say, we have seen the X bar and then R chart. We have seen the X bar and then S chart. Okay. So these are good if n is greater than 1, but also okay, n is greater than 1. So if you remember, n is the number of observations or measurements in any sample. Okay, this is where do we use the, this is for this part. Okay, now comes the individual and moving range chart. Here, the n is 1. So we have one observation, one measurement in each sample. So one observation or one measurement we have in each sample. Okay. So similarly, we have the, this one is the option 1. We have the upper control limit, lower control limit, upper control, lower control limit. This one is for range, and this one is for individual. Okay. So let's see how it works with a simple example. Say that I have, first let me show you how it works. So this one will be the individual one. So you will have the average. Similarly, you will have the upper control limit, and then you will have the lower control limit. And then here you will have the chart. And then you will have the range. Also for range, you will have the average one, you will have upper control limit, and then you will have the lower control limit. And then similarly, you will have the data. Okay, so this is the then moving range. The name is different actually here. Moving range chart. Okay. So we have a simple example here. Example says that we have a car battery manufacturer, and the batteries have a problem that sometimes they don't fit in the tray. So we are testing 12 batteries. I mean, we have 12 samples actually. So this one is 12 samples. And then in each sample, we have one battery. So you have sample 1, you have sample 2, up to sample 12, okay? And then in each sample, you have one measurement. So you measure, so measurement is that there is only one measurement. So you measure 1, 2, 3. So n is 1. So what it means is that you cannot use the X bar and the R chart. So the question says that to determine the range of the battery dimensions using individual and R chart, interpret the data. So to check whether we have any problems with the data, with the measurements, or with the batteries, actually, with the batteries or not. So again, we will use this chart for the D2 value. So if you go to here, you can see upper control limit uses D2, and then for range chart, I will use D4. So if I'll go here, I have D2, and then I have D4. Okay, let me go back to Excel and then see what we have. So This is the data that we have. So these are the samples and these are the measurements. So if for each sample, I have one measurement. Okay. So first thing is that I will find the average of it, of the average of measurements. Okay, and then this one will be the average of whole measurements here. This is the first step. The second step is that I will find the UCL X and then LCL X, I will find it, and then we have the X bar. The X bar is easy, I have just found it. This is 163. Okay, but I will put the $sign here, F4, and then that's done. Okay. And the next comes the UCLX and the LCLX. To find it, if I go back to formulas here, I need to find the range and I need to find the D2 value. So let's do that. So let's see first how moving average works. Moving range, actually. So I have the first one, which is 162, 63, and then 160, 66, 59, 67, 72. Okay, so I will not just put all of it, but I'll just show the step. So the first thing is that, so we select first two data, first two measurements. And this one is, the first two measurements is 162 and then 163. Okay. And then for these measurements, I find the range, which is 1. Okay. So absolute, so let's say that a absolute value of the range. So that I never get the negative value. And then this is the 1. And the second one, then select the next two. So which is 100 next two. So it will be that 163 and then 160. So the range value will be 3. And then I select the next two. So it will be that 60 and then 166. So the range value will be 6. So I just step one by one. So then 4, I just select the next 2. So then it will be that 166 and then 159. So the range value for this one will be 7. And then I just select next 2. It will be that 159 and then 167. So the range value for this one will be 8. So this way I just go till the end and then till end. I just select the values and then find the range. So these two, this one is up to you. Okay, you can go with 3, you can go with the 4, you can select first 3 and the next 3, first 3 and the next, you can go, sorry, I made a mistake here. You can select first 3 and the next 3 and the next 3. You can go this way as well. You can go up to 2 measurements, but you have to go step by step, one number. At each time you have to skip one number. So say that you just selected the first 3 and the second 3 will be this one. And the next one will be this part. And then this one. This way you just select the numbers. Actually, it should be this one. Okay, and then let's do this one in Excel. If I just go back and then I put here the range. Range will be that the absolute value of the second number minus the first number. Okay, and then you down, you go one more step, you can see it gives 155 because this one doesn't have any number here, so I don't want it. Okay, so I'll just stop it here. So this is the final one that I did, the range. Okay, the average of measurements, I did it. The next one is the R bar. The R bar will be the average of these range values. Okay. You can see this is how it works. So then UCLX comes, and then for UCLX, I will need to X bar plus 3 times the R bar just calculated divided by D2. And D2 here this is from the chart D2. And for D2, you need this N observations in sample. So in my question, I was taking 2 measurements at each time. So this is taken as N is 2. So N is 2 since we were taking 2 measurements at once for range calculation. But if you take 3, then N will be 3. If you take 4, N will be 4. So then for N is 2, then D2 is 1.128. So then D2 for 2 is 1.128. And then if I go back to here, then UCL will be X bar plus 3 times R bar by D2. Then UCL will be X bar, which is the average one, plus 3 times the R bar value. I will put the F4 here, this one F4, and then divide by the D2 value, again F4. And then similar formula applies here, but instead of plus, I will have the minus. Okay. And then now time comes, I have UCL, I have LCL, I have X bar, and then we have to plot it. So we just go to insert and then data. Let me just erase everything here. Then first one will be the samples. And then let me just select it. First one will be the samples. The X values are my samples. And then the Y values are the X values. You see the measurements. These are the Y, individual values, not the average. Okay. You say okay. And then comes, we are adding. So let me see if there is a problem. Okay, sorry, this one should not be here. Okay. Then I add my upper control limit. The upper control limit will be this one. And then I will add let me just go here. Then select data, I will add the lower control limit. So Y values, I will add the lower control limit. Okay, and then I will add the average values. Okay. Let me correct this chart. Okay, so let me see. Select data, I have, okay, this one is wrong. So I will need to add the upper control limit. Add upper control limit will be this data. Okay. So now let me just format it. The marker, we don't want any marker. And then line is that I want solid line. Okay, as you can see, this one is upper control limit, and this one is lower control limit, and this one is the average, and this one is the X values. Okay, so if you go to here, sorry, I have the so I have X bar. I have, for example, 162, I have 163, I have 165. So I have UCL and then LCL. This is the individual chart. Okay. Now comes the moving range chart. For moving range chart, I need also the upper control limit, which I need D4, and lower control limit is always 0. So D4 is, as you can see, D4 value for 2 is 3.267. If I just go here, so now UCL, the R bar, sorry, R, and then UCL, LCL, the R value. So for this one, I will need D4, which is 3.267. So D4 for 2 is 3.267. Okay. And then this one will be equal to the R bar F4 times the D4. Again, F4. Okay. And then this one will be 0. Okay. Now we will plot the moving range chart. So the insert, and we have the, so let me remove. Okay. Then the select data. The first one is the X values. X values are the sample numbers. Okay. And then we have the Y values is the range values. Okay. And then I will add the upper control limit. So sorry, it should be Y. So then I add the upper control limit. Okay. And then I add the lower control limit. And then I can see how my graph looks like. Okay, then select data. Sorry, format series. And then I don't want any marker options here. And then the line, so let's put some marker. Okay, so this is the range chart, as you can see. Now I can add the average range values, which is the R bar values here. And then R bar values will be equal to the value here. So this one is equal to the R value here with F4 sign. So then, okay, and then I will add the R bar values. So select data and then add the for Y values, I will add the R bar. This is how it looks like. So again, we don't have any data that's outside the limits, and then everything looks okay. But you can see the range chart is more inclined towards 0 than the upper control limit, as you can see. But they are stationed around the average. But our upper control limit, overall data is shifted to the lower limit. Okay. So you can check the causes. If it's a real manufacturing site, you can check the cause of the problem.